Hello viewers and welcome to the Audi e-tron. Now you might already have seen this in our little drive review in Abu Dhabi. Please go check that out on the YouTube channel. But here is the car in India. It is in this brilliant blue, but I gotta tell you, it's not exactly Indian spec. If you look, the steering wheel is on the left hand side, but it's here. We got a chance to look at it and let me tell you a little bit about the car. As you can tell, it looks just like every other Audi SUV, and that was the idea. They want you to feel at home in this car. They want it to feel familiar. It is an everyday Audi SUV, and that was the intention all along, and that reflects in the looks. Of course, at the front it is a little bit different. Sure, that familiar face is there, but the grille is now very limited in its openings, and that too can be shut for greater aero efficiency. The headlights have this little signature down the side that help distinguish it as an e-tron model, and similarly the bumpers have little aero efficient details. Once you move out to the side, you will see that the wheels, these are 21-inch wheels, but I believe the spec for India is 20-inch wheels, but they too have aero efficiency built into them. You'll see the calipers are orange, and that's to mimic high intensity electric cables. That's sort of the theme with the e-tron, of course, electric car. Here is the charging port, and I'll get back to that in a little bit. But by far the most interesting detail has got to be these virtual mirrors. They are, of course, high definition cameras. They're not real mirrors. You can have rear mirrors, but this should be an option even for Indian buyers. What it does is relay an image to a screen on the inside, a touch screen, high definition, works really well. I've tried it out. And it all contributes to a lower coefficient of drag. In fact, the drag coefficient is just 0.27 with those mirrors. Now, as you can see over to the back, it still looks very conventional Audi. The glass house is very similar, and apart from that slight haunch over the rear, it's the usual stuff. Even at the back, it's the new Audi design language with the OLED strip and the OLED tail lamps. And over here, of course, there are no exhausts at the base, electric car. And they've still managed to give it a 660-liter boot. So it's very practical, and of course, being on air suspension, the car can be lowered for easy loading, and they've even managed to give it an inflatable spare tire. Now, what I'm going to do is show you what it's like in the back seat. Now the thing about the e-tron's backseat is that, again, it feels like an Audi SUV. Nothing out of the ordinary or super futuristic about it, and no compromises, and that's the main thing. It's based on a Q5, so the space back here is similar to a Q5. Headroom is rather good, so is knee room, and it's got all the trappings that you might want, like dual zone aircon for the back, USB ports, and they've not compromised on other bits of equipment like a Bang & Olufsen sound system will be standard on this car. Similarly, there's Alcantara, there'll be a wide choice of leather options to choose from. It's all there, it's all the luxury car requisites that you expect from an Audi. The other really big advantage is that the floor is flat. Of course, there's no transmission tunnel for the Quattro system like there usually is in an Audi. So even though this console sticks out a little bit, you could conceivably fit a third passenger very comfortably back here. Now, here we are in the front half of the Audi e-tron cabin, and well, it does remind you again a lot of a conventional Audi, especially the new generation Audis. Unfortunately, we haven't seen too many of those in India yet, but they're coming very soon. And that, of course, starts with the virtual cockpit digital dials in their latest generation. Very colorful, very informative, the kind of stuff you want to see from digital dials. Also, the new steering wheel, beautifully finished, all the controls you want right here. But the little point of contention is the dual screen MMI system. Yes, it's very good and has this lovely haptic feedback when you click on it, so you know that you've clicked, but the lower screen does involve you taking your eyes off the road, so maybe you're better off using the voice commands that are built into the system, and they work really well. Apart from that, the whole interior layout is, yes, very Audi typical, but it does have this air of futuristic tech about it. Yes, the shape is familiar, but like, look, it's got layers, everything is inset and outset, and don't you just love this new gear selector? It looks like your conventional gear lever, but the lever itself doesn't move. Instead, it's an armrest, and it's got this little trigger that lets you select between the various different states of drive. Now, the spec of the Indian car has not been finalized yet, but there's an impressive amount of tech and equipment on offer, most of which should be headed our way, including 360-degree cameras, wireless mobile charging, a powered tailgate, soft closed doors, a panoramic sunroof, Bang & Olufsen Hi-Fi, adaptive matrix LED headlamps, adaptive air suspension, a digital instrument cluster, and more. But of course, there is one feature that stands out above the rest. Now, it would be silly for me to be in this interior and not show you the coolest feature of them all, and that is the virtual mirror system. I talked about it on the outside, but this is how it functions in reality. That is the screen. It is a touchscreen, and well, you can adjust it to see who's behind you. And if you want, you adjust the other side of the car rather, using this one. It's a very unique system, and Audi is going to be the first to bring it to India. And it works rather well. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. Now, of course, the big news is under the skin, where a pair of electric motors, 135 kilowatts at the front and 165 kilowatts at the rear, combine to give a maximum total output of 300 kilowatts. Or in other words, a sports car rivaling 408 horsepower. More impressive though is the torque figure of 664 Newton meters, all of which is available instantaneously. And that's the beauty of electric motors. It's enough to rocket this 2.5-ton SUV from 0 to 100 in just 5.7 seconds. Because there are two motors, it's also effectively four-wheel drive, or E-Quattro. The 95 kilowatt-hour batteries sit in a flat panel under the car, split into 36 modules for easy maintenance, and give a claimed range of 400 kilometers under the WLTP cycle. On a conventional 11 kilowatt AC home charger, as you see here, it will take 8.5 hours to charge fully, which drops to about 4.5 hours if, say, your office has a heavier duty 22 kilowatt charger fitted. But if you go to a 150 kilowatt DC fast charger, it will charge in just 30 minutes. Now, details have been a little bit scarce. For instance, we don't know the price just yet, but we've been told it will be north of ₹1 crore. Of course, what we do know is that the car is definitely coming to India. If not early 2020, it'll be here by the end of 2019. The other good news is that every car will come with a home charger that Audi will install in your home for you, and the main showrooms, not every single Audi showroom, but the major showrooms where customers are, mostly in the metros, will have a fast charger built in, so you can go have your car charged in just 30 minutes over there. It's an exciting model as part of a range of many cars that are promised in the second half of 2019, and Audi says that it plans to sell close to 200 of them. Now, that's an ambitious target, but it means we'll see more of these cars on the road, and well, if it's an indication of the future, we should all be thankful for it.